And
All right, awesome. All right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tiger Talk today about academic resources and how you can help support your student. And so my name is Kayla Hubbard. I serve as the Senior Coordinator for Parent and Family Services. We also have Heather Hampton, who is the coordinator here. And our office's main goal is to help you assist and support your student. And so we have these Tiger Talks every other Wednesday, almost a semester. We have 6 of them. And we really want to give you an opportunity to talk to campus partners about supporting your student. And so I'll hand it over and let our campus partners introduce themselves and tell you a little bit more about their office. So Dr. Bekis, would you like to go first?
Thank you very much. And it's nice to be here and talk to all the parents because we know how important we all are, meaning parents to the students that are here, because they absolutely need our support. We got to have their back, so to speak. Our office is educational support. Our trademark is tutoring at ESP because we need to say what we do. So we are available to all students for the courses they're enrolled in at the university. Our main purpose is retention and graduation, and that is a high focus for your students as well. And the other part of what we do is we want students to come to us when they want to get better. So we try to always keep it on the positive. And Jamian will tell you a little bit more about our program from his viewpoint.
Good afternoon. Thank you for that, Dr. Bekis. My name is Jamie McNeil. I work with Dr. Bekis in educational support programs, and my job is I'm the coordinator of virtual learning. So we know not all Tigers are on-ground Tigers. There have some students who are online students or students who might be at our Lambeth campus, and we try to make our resources available to all University of Memphis students. So we offer virtual tutoring to make sure that we meet the needs of students when maybe they might be working, non-traditional schedule, or they might be unavailable to come to learning centers during those traditional hours. We want to make sure that all students have the resources they need to be successful in their classes.
Hey everybody, and my name is Meredith Boulden, and I'm the director of the Center for Writing and Communication. We are part of student academic success, and our services are specifically geared towards students who are working on any sort of writing or oral communication or public speaking type of project. That can be any academic project or academically tangential project, whether it's a cover letter for nursing school or a resume, all kinds of documents around scholarship applications and that kind of thing.
Awesome, thank y'all. So first question for both offices, is there a fee to use your services? So when students come and make an appointment or sign up, do they have to pay anything?
I am so happy to let you know everything we do is free to students. And so we just need the students to walk on in at any of our locations. We are at 6 different locations on ground, and that includes one at Lambeth. And then, as Jamian said, we have 24/7 online, but it's free. So, and they can come as often as they want to, stay as long as they want to.
Absolutely. Same for us in that our services are free to students. And we also use the virtual learning platform. Our hours are a little more structured, but we can guide students through the process of making those appointments, whether they check out our website or they can give a call or shoot us an email, and we'll help them in any way that we can.
Awesome. I bet the parents enjoy hearing about all those services being free 99 included in tuition. So that is awesome.
I think you may have mentioned a little bit of this, Dr. Boulden. How can students schedule appointments if they need to use your services at the Writing Center? And I guess this would also apply to the educational support program. But what are the steps they need to take in order to connect with your office?
So that's a great question because we have 2 different platforms depending on whether the student wants to make an appointment for in-person services or online services. the easiest thing to do is probably to go to our website first. And that's just simply www.memphis.edu and then /CWC. Pretty easy to remember. From there, there are directions on our website and links that say specifically, click here to make an in-person appointment, or click here to make a virtual appointment. The virtual appointments are the same platform that ESP uses. So you can log in with your university credentials, just the front part of your email address and your university password. And then once you're in there, you search for Center for Writing and Communication, and a list of our consultants pops up. You're able to scroll through their schedules and figure out which appointment you would like, and then you're good to go. If you're wanting to make an in-person appointment, that platform is a little different. It will require you to make a very quick profile with any chosen email and password that you've chosen for yourself. And then you log in and you're able to search by date, by time, or even by consultant. So if there's someone that you've really enjoyed working with in the past, you can search and see if they're still on our schedule and see when they're available as well. And then from there, you just confirm the appointment, and that's all you have to do.
Awesome. And then for both of you, what should students expect during their first appointment? So do they need to bring anything? Do they need to send any information prior to the meeting, or do they just show up for tutoring or for a consultation with the Writing Center?
Now, for our learning centers, we tell the students they don't really need much, but their student ID, and make sure they have plenty of questions for the tutors. So like Dr. Bekis said, we expect that the learners are coming in to work with us to be better. And that's what we call our students that work with us. We call them learners because it's a life journey. We're all in it together. So when they come with us, they should have done some prerequisite reading from the textbook, as well as maybe have taken their own notes. And I often say that tutoring isn't a substitute for self-study, and it's fantastic. You want to work with us and want us to get better, but you also need some time by yourself to digest what you've heard over in lecture and, have prep. And then if there's anything that you need help with clarification and to get better, because, we all hit those roadblocks sometimes, then that's when you can come and work with us. And like we said before, you don't have to make any appointments. We always welcome drop-ins. And like I say, all you need is your student ID and plenty of questions for those tutors that are in the Learning Center labs. Now, online is a little different. As Dr. Boulden said, we do share the same system as the Virtual Learning Center. And I can tell you a different way to get to there. So under your My Memphis portal, when you click on UofM online, underneath that link where students access the learning management system called Campus, where they access their course materials for their classes, underneath that link, there should be a link that says the Free Virtual Learning Center for Online Tutoring, and they can click on that, and that takes them right to our platform where you can work with tutors from ESP, CWC, as well as tutors from the Department of Math, Computer Science, History, Economics, World Languages, Nursing. So it's not just one or two areas, but we have a wider range of partners that we all work with together to provide our services for students virtually.
Awesome.
As far as coming to the CWC, you've probably heard the phrasing before that writing is a process. And arguably, if you're working on a presentation or a speech, you're probably also at least outlining it, even if you're not necessarily writing it out sentence by sentence. And the way that we describe it is that we meet students where they are, a lot like what Jamie said, as far as making students better. Like, we want to meet you where you are. You're never going to come in and feel criticized or demeaned for how much work you have or haven't done yet. If you're struggling to understand an assignment, the actual assignment sheet, we can help work with you through that. Kind of with the catch that we're not the professor, so we want to make sure that you always check with your professor to have make sure that understanding is correct. But yeah, we'll help you develop a topic. We can help you work on the outline, create a thesis statement, or kind of go through final edits with you if you've already created a complete draft. It really just depends on how much work you've already done. So the only thing that we don't help with in terms of the writing or creative process is that we don't do library research. Those folks we do refer over to the research librarians here at McWhorter.
For many of our students, there are skills to be further developed to get to the college level or the expectation of the classroom. So we help students with whatever skill building they need in order to get to the point where they're learning how to learn. We find also we will need to work with students to know how to adjust to certain classroom processes and particularly adjust to new professors. The big transition that students have is from the general education courses to their courses in their majors, which definitely requires a lot more independence. And many of our students will work on how to do more on their own and get the results that they want. As we work with students in the Learning Center, and they could work individually with a tutor who's already had their courses, they could work in small groups with tutors who've had their courses. But the most important part is the relationship that they build with other students from their class, from their course. And then they work together outside the Learning Center as well. And so because we're located on campus, we're at 5 different buildings or 5 different locations. And we also have evening tutoring that students can come to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. in Centennial. Anybody can go to that Learning Center, but we try to be aware and do the best we can to accommodate the schedules of your students. Some of them are working, they have different kind of obligations of meetings and so on, but we just want them to know we have them they're our priority, and we will do what we can do to help them to be as successful as they choose to be.
Awesome. Thank you all.
So I know we talked about how they can set up appointments for these great services, but let's say you have a student who doesn't think they need your services, and then they run into a roadblock while they're studying or while they're preparing a written assignment. Do you all accept walk-ins? Can students just come in without an appointment to receive your services?
At our learning centers, we encourage students just to come when they need to come because we'll have staff there at the hours that we have posted. Students can make an appointment through Navigate, but it just means they're alerting us that they'll be coming. And so it's as much for their benefit, but they learn how to do that just like they can make appointments with their advisors, but we do not require appointments. They just drop in at their particular best time.
Here at the CWC, we do strongly encourage students to make appointments, largely because we take a dedicated amount of time to work with the students. So once you've made an appointment, you get a 45-minute block. And because of our staffing and just kind of the way everything works out, sometimes if you come in and ask for a walk-in, we may not have any availability. We do our very best to accommodate walk-ins as much as possible. We hired additional staff this semester, and we've added some extra folks online as well, which we're really excited about. So we will do our best if you walk in, but last semester, for instance, they got to the point where we were fully booked. Our online and in-person schedules were fully booked about 10 days out, which was pretty crazy. But we try really hard, but we do really, really encourage students to go ahead and try and set that time aside for themselves and kind of get it blocked off with that appointment.
Yeah, and that's great information, especially for students who, they may have a paper that's due the next coming weeks, to tell them to go ahead and make that appointment for the Writing Center. And then if they need to drop by for helping with studying for tests and things, that they can do that at tutoring at ESP. So thank you for that. The next question, so are there any services that students just might not be familiar with? So maybe in the Writing Center, can they come to you for non-class assignments like resumes or cover letters, or is there anything in the tutoring at ESP that students might not be familiar with that they can come to you for assistance?
Sure. We have a really great relationship at the CWC with career services. So we like to encourage students that if they do have what I call job documents, so there's resumes or cover letters, if you're in academics and you're doing a CV, that kind of thing, we encourage students to bring them to us. We can kind of help with, your grammar, your style, the wording itself. But then we also ask them, like, go to career services too, because they can really help you a lot with that content. And another thing that a lot of students don't really realize that we have is a presentation practice space. So if students are, for instance, interested in putting their slide deck on a television through their computer and practicing in front of someone else, just in a really kind of non-stressful environment, and like a time when they can pause and ask questions and that kind of thing. We have a conference room behind our main facility here in the library where you can go back there with the consultant and do that, and they'll offer you some in the moment feedback and kind of let you know, this is what you could do here, maybe slow down a little bit there, or maybe make this slide a little bit less busy. So yeah, we do have some services that folks don't know quite as much about.
I'll mention a couple of things, and then Jamie can add some to that. One of the things students don't know is that we have a large number of Tigerland computers in our learning centers with dedicated printers. So not all students have to go to the tech hub in order to use computers or the printer. And if they come to one of our learning centers to access that technology, they can also have access to someone who is familiar with their subject area that might give them some hints and techniques and so on about fulfilling their assignments or even doing better. And we also have workshops, and students can drop in for just a short amount of time twice a week and come to a seminar that might just be the one little tip or technique that can make their life more effective and efficient. And Jamie, would you add some other things, please?
Some of our tutors also hold study groups at different times and different locations. So depending on certain topics and certain needs, the tutors have time where they set aside where they meet with a group of students for that class or that topic to help them improve. Also, Dr. Bekis and I offer consultations. I won't name a student, but last week I had a student come to the office and they were kind of having a hard time juggling, class, work, school, your social life. And so, we sat down and we talked about coming up with a plan to make sure that you can fit it all in, because we only get so many hours in a day, and helping them see how to plan all that out and give them that perspective. It really helped them out and really helped alleviate some of that pressure they were feeling as we're coming up toward midterms and homework and assignments. So just also know that we're here for the students on those many levels.
That's awesome. I think a lot of students kind of get to that point in the semester where they're like, okay, all this stuff is going on. What do I, have to figure out how, to go to work, to have a social life, and when to study and how to study. So that's awesome that y'all also will offer that service to kind of help them with that time management and calendar management a little bit as well.
So when students use your services, and sometimes this can, I guess, some students may have apprehensions about the fact that they even need, to use your services. Do you all typically let professors know when their students are utilizing your services? And if you do, what are the benefits of a professor knowing that a student is seeking out additional help for their class?
We find it to be very, very helpful when the faculty person nudges a student to come on and go to the tutoring, come to the learning center. And when the faculty person does that, oftentimes that faculty person will say, they will be given consideration to students who worked outside of the classroom to do better in the classroom. So if a faculty person does ask, we could provide them with a computer printout of the names of the students from their class and what time they were in, what time they were out, but we don't say anything about what happened during the interval. It's more like validating the effort that the young person put in. But in fact, your your students can ask us for a printout of their time so they can give it to you to put on the refrigerator, and that's a brag point. And we think it does make a difference for some of the other reasons that I've already mentioned. So please have them to contact us. We work with many of the organizations on campus, and the organizations require students to put forth effort either in study groups or other individual study time. And so those organizations also request just a verification that the student did in fact fulfill their expectations.
We do things a little bit differently, but one thing that's the same is that it's up to the student, the individual student, to decide whether or not they want to let their professor know that they've been to the CWC. But we do what we call a session report at the end of every appointment. And what that does for us is that we have a lot of repeat folks who come in for multiple appointments. And so, particularly if they're working on the same assignment for multiple appointments, what that allows us to do is kind of let us know, okay, where did the student come in? Like, what did they have? How far had they gotten in the process beforehand? What were we able to accomplish with them during the appointment? And then what type of advice or recommendations did we give them sort of to take out with them moving forward? And then once we have that information in hand, the next time they come in, their consultant can look at that report and be like, okay, this person got to this point. Let's see if they were able to take those recommendations and kind of move forward with them on their own. Or maybe they're still struggling a little bit and we need to go back to that. And what we find too is that that same information is also helpful to the professor if the student chooses to request that report is forwarded to their professor. Kind of like Dr. Bekis said, it's brownie points in a way. Like, I think faculty see that students are coming in and that they're making the effort to improve their skills in whatever discipline they're studying. And that goes a long way, just towards learning the material and showing that you really care about the class.
Awesome. And parents probably know this topic a little too well. With students maybe waiting to the last minute to get services, y'all may know that topic a little too well as well. So as midterms are coming up, as the spring semester is moving rapidly and finals will be here before we know it, is there anything that family members can do to nudge their student to go ahead and start taking advantages of these services? So is there anything parents maybe can say to their student, any advice that you have for parents and family members as we go into midterms and into finals this semester?
I would just say that I would encourage students or encourage parents and family members to talk to their students and say, hey, why don't you take a look at the syllabus for each one of your classes and see where your midterms are or where your next upcoming assignments are. And, going ahead and, like Jamie mentioned earlier, make a plan for when you think you need to go to the different, tutoring centers for the different content areas. Or if you're, making a speech or writing a paper, when do you maybe need to make an appointment to come on by the CWC or to join via the virtual learning platform? Go ahead and have that time set aside so that you're not rushed at the last minute.
It would be a wonderful thing for parents to say, oh, I wish they had that when I was in school. Or they say, you are so fortunate to be going to University of Memphis that really does focus on retention and graduation and grades, and just go check them out. And the other part is that if you just have the student, if they seem to be not wanting to talk about some of their class, just recommend that they come and see us and talk with us. Because there are things that we can oftentimes do that the student didn't even know that was possible. That's like, that little key that helps us to identify with the student on a strategy or technique that they might use. Jamie talks to a lot of parents on the phone. Jamie, what advice for parents?
One of the best things that I can just say is to just check on them, just ask them, so how are things going? Like, sometimes you might just have to stay on top of them a little bit, especially just to let them know that, hey, there are resources out there. And sometimes students forget because like we have very active lives, very involved lives. They might forget that we have all these resources on campus for them. So that's why Dr. Bekis mentioned putting things on the refrigerator to remind them going, hey, have you been by tutoring? How are classes going? So just keep it just a steady check on them and just kind of try to stay plugged in as much as you can.
I was also thinking too, maybe a quick text. You know, some people, like my daughter, she's a freshman in college, and she texts me a lot quicker than she will actually call me. And so sometimes I just decide to send her a quick text to say, hey, have you talked to your advisor? Or she's a student athlete, you know, did you go to your study hall, or different things like that? Just a quick text will help too.
My experience says if you don't ask a question in the text, you're not going to get an answer. Okay. And
True.
sometimes it takes more than one question, and you might just have to word your question really specially, you know, in order,
Right.
because they're busy. But a question will kind of prompt a response more than hope to hear from you soon, you know. The other thing is ask the student every now and then to tell you what they're learning in class, something they like or didn't like. Because if they can talk it to you, they got it more than if they can't talk it to you.
That's true.
Awesome. Thank y'all for that advice for family members. And I definitely agree. When you don't ask the question, sometimes they don't even know. And so asking that question is really helpful to start that conversation about them utilizing the resources that we have on campus. And I think this is the perfect time in the semester to start asking those questions. So they've been in classes for a couple weeks. They should know what's going on in their classes by now. And so like they said, looking at the syllabus, pulling it out and saying, you know, when is the right time to go to the writing center or to go get practice on a speech or to get tutoring is really important. With the next question, can current students get jobs in y'all's office? So we have parents and family members who always reach out about on-campus job opportunities for students. So do y'all have student workers? Can current students work at maybe your front desk or as a tutor or a consultant? And how do y'all manage that?
Our answer is yes. Jamie, give them the details, please.
All right, so we are always looking for tutors. We like that our tutors to have some experience at the university, so we do try to lean more towards, you know, juniors, sophomores, but we always tell students to just come and connect with our office. You study with us, we consider that like a job interview. You come to get to know us, we get to learn about you. It's a two-way street, but we always are looking for tutors, and you must be a current and enrolled University of Memphis student, enrolled in at least 6 hours. We have positions open for undergraduate as well as graduate assistants, and we have graduates as well as graduate assistantships, as well as internships. We can get credit for scholarship hours, as well as work study. And just being a currently enrolled University of Memphis student, be enrolled in 6 hours. Let us know the courses and topics that you want to tutor, you feel you can assist your fellow students in, and then send us a copy of your unofficial transcript. You know, we'll review it and we'll add you to what we call our potential tutor list. And when we do our trainings for the next semester of tutors, depending on need and availability, then we'll reach out to you.
We do hire students at the CWC. Right now, all of our staff are graduate level students, but that doesn't mean that we are not in the market for undergraduates. We do like to have students who have a background in communications or English, technical writing, that kind of thing. But again, if someone's coming from a different discipline or a different major, but they still feel that they have the skills that, you know, would be helpful to their fellow students, then I would absolutely love for folks to come by. Really, they just need to reach out to me. The easiest way to do that is to email me at cwc@memphis.edu and just kind of shoot me an email and let me know who they are and, you know, what they're interested in doing. It does at times depend on whether or not they have another work contract at the university. We don't currently have any GPA or enrollment qualifications, but I do have like a pre-assessment in terms of like I have a sample writing assignment and kind of ask the potential consultant, if we go over this and tell me what you would say to this student writer and kind of like what kind of feedback would you give to them. And it gives us an idea of how that person would respond and what kinds of feedback that they would provide to another student, which helps us know if they sort of are going to fit in with like the culture and the ethos of how we operate. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. And I keep what I call my rolling list. So when people have expressed interest, but I don't have a current position, I'll ask them, would you like to stay on our list for next semester or for later in the semester? And generally speaking, they say yes. And so when a spot opens up, I shoot them an email and go from there.
Awesome. So it sounded like students, if you're, or family members, if your students want a job for next semester, go ahead and reach out to both offices so they can put them on their list to see what's upcoming for the next semester. Those are all of our questions, unless y'all have any other questions y'all would like to answer or any advice y'all would like to give to family members. Most of all, we just want to let you all know that we are here for you and that there are several offices dedicated on campus for your student to succeed. And so we want you to know that fairly early in the semester, so you can go ahead and nudge your student to go ahead and reach out to tutoring at ESP or go ahead and reach out to the Writing and Communication Center. And so thank you so much for joining us today. We have a couple more Tiger Talks that are coming up this semester. And so for incoming family members, we have a Tiger Talk with Brian Deal, the Assistant Director of Orientation. And so we'll be talking about all things orientation for family members on March 1st. March 22nd, we have our very first family affinity group for first generation family members. And so that is from incoming and current families, if y'all would like to join that. April 5th, we will be talking with Derek Myers, our Chief Safety Officer, on safety resources for your student. And then April 19th, we will be talking with our counseling center about how to manage stress during final exams. And then lastly, we have an event coming up. Our last in-person event of the semester is Family Night at the Shite. And so we are working with undergraduate admissions as well as the School of Music to put on a family mingle for family members, for incoming and prospective family members, as well as a sound fusion concert. And so we invite you all to join us. Go to our event page on our website to find out more information about that. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. And so if you are seeing this later on YouTube, feel free to reach out to us, or Dr. Bekis, or Dr. Boulder, with any questions about academic resources for your students, because again, we're here to help. So thank you so much, and see y'all next time. All right, thank y'all. So this will go